Wonders of the West is sponsored by the Nevada Commission on Tourism. Explore the Silver State's wonders, nature, history, and culture for yourself. Travel and tourism information is available at travelnevada.com. Additional funding is provided by YESCO. Creativity, ingenuity, and reliable service since 1920 for all of your project needs. Find out how we can work together at yesco.com. A family of explorers is setting out to change the way you view your world.
Brian, a scientist and videographer.
My mom, Julie, is a biologist and educator.
And Amelia, a young ambassador for the world of nature.
Come on, let's go.
Amid the wide open spaces of the Great Basin Desert, just outside of the town of Fallon, Nevada, lies an oasis known as the Stillwater National Wildlife Refuge. One of the most significant wetland systems in the American West, Stillwater attracts up to 250,000 migratory birds annually, including waterfowl, shorebirds, and waterbirds.
Spring Wings is an event we hold every year in Fallon to celebrate International Migratory Bird Day. We take tours to Stillwater National Wildlife Refuge, Soda Lake, Carson River, and Carson Lake. We do this because we want to celebrate the migration, educate people on the natural resources we have here, and have a lot of fun.
Stillwater is known for its importance for migrating birds, particularly waterfowl and shorebirds, as they move up and down the Pacific Flyway both in the spring and fall on their way to their breeding and nesting areas. Also, it's important for nesting species like white-faced ibis and American white pelican and others that come here to brood, nest, and raise their young. It's an oasis in the desert. It's a closed basin system, which is unique in that these wetlands are terminal. They do not enter to the sea.
And here along the Pacific Flyway, you have birds that are coming all the way from southern South America, traveling as far north as the high Arctic in North America. And if you take away a place like Stillwater, this whole system falls apart because these birds need these stopover sites, these absolutely critical stopover sites. This is not just a good place for birds in western Nevada. This is an absolutely crucial place for migratory birds in western Nevada.
To join in the migration celebration, we headed to Stillwater Marsh for a bird hike of our own. The warmth and rays of the early morning sun blanketed the refuge, transforming it into a perfect picture postcard. We headed to the trailhead to begin our walk. This area has been home to the ancestors of the Northern Paiute Indians for thousands of years. Signage along the winding path described how these wetlands provided food, shelter, and clothing in the midst of the harsh desert environment. A brilliantly colored yellow-headed blackbird greeted us as we made our way to the viewing deck to fully take in the sights and sounds of the marsh. A western grebe swam by, unaware of our presence. As they made their way through the vegetation, 2 cinnamon-teal ducks were partially camouflaged. A white pelican swooped down, making a perfect water landing. We followed a flock of ibis overhead until our attention was turned to the flitting about of another group of birds. Closer inspection revealed a large colony of cliff swallows, as well as their uniquely identifiable mud nests. Leaving mothers to tend to their young, we headed to the Churchill County Museum to catch up with director Jane Peploe. Although the museum is filled with a wide variety of artifacts representing the history of humans and nature of the area, Jane was excited to show us a special exhibit the museum was hosting specifically to honor the birds.
Well, here at the Churchill County Museum, we have a special exhibit in conjunction with Spring Wings that's going on this weekend. We have a local couple in Fallon that collects these birds, and they're really special because they're all carved from wood. And when they go into a competition, the bird has to be sitting on some kind of natural element that they would be found on in nature, but that has to be created by the carver. The twigs that the birds are sitting on are all metal, and then they wood burn each little feather mark in there and paint them with either oil or acrylic paint. Well, you've been seeing the real birds in the marsh here, but we're lucky enough in our collection to have some of the Thule duck decoys that were done for hundreds of years, and some of these are made by people that are doing this today, keeping the old ways going. These two decoys were made about a month ago by Mike Williams, a Native American who lives on the Indian reservation outside of Fallon. And these are the Lovelock decoy shapes with the extra binding around the front. They're all made of Thule reeds from the Stillwater Marsh.
Saying goodbye to Jane, we headed to the grand finale of the festival, the much anticipated release of a rehabilitated golden eagle by the Wild Animal Infirmary for Nevada. Our hearts soared as the eagle took flight with strong, healthy, flapping wings. This was the culmination of a great festival.
We drove east on Highway 50 through the town of Austin to our next destination of Eureka, Nevada, to make a visit to the historic Eureka Opera House. During the mining heyday of the late 1800s, this was the social center of the town, hosting plays, masquerade balls, dances, operas, and concerts.
The Eureka Opera House was built in 1880, right after the last Great Fire that burned most of Main Street in 1879. The house was built on the ruins of the Oddfellows Hall. It was opened on New Year's Eve of 1880 with a masquerade ball, and it ran until 1958, until 1990, when the county purchased the building. They spent $2.5 million, 3 years, and restored it to what you see today. Now, our oleo curtain is a curtain that was put in the theater in 1924. The original curtain burned in 1923, small stage fire. There were kerosene foot lamps and somebody kicked one over. In fact, the sideboards on the curtain are still charred. So they're the original boards that were put up there, and they just painted over them.
Adding to an already rich history, Wally has implemented a new innovative tradition as he requests that anyone who performs in the Opera House sign his or her name on one of the backstage walls. From professionals to local performing students, the walls are an artistic mosaic paying tribute to more recent times. The evening calendar featured a performance by cowboy balladeer Don Edwards, whose smooth country voice left us with a sense of nostalgia for the Old West.
Now the range is a-changin' into neon and noise. Folks have lost touch with the land, and they may tap their feet to some old cowboy song, but mostly they don't understand the feeling you get from a campfire's warm glow as the plaintive notes of his song softly flow. Songs about cowboys and horses and trains. He's a vanishing minstrel of the range.